Eric. Do you have any cybersecurity best practices that you would be able to share? I think you may have touched on some, albeit very briefly, but if you'd be able to elaborate, I think that was.
Say that again. The cybersecurity best what?
Best practices.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think it was definitely captured in that the last slide that I had there. The best practices is absolutely to pick a cybersecurity framework, such is depending on the industry that you're in. You know, if you're in healthcare, I would say HIPAA. If you're in finance, I would say maybe something like PCI, or New York, the NYDFS. Or if not in general, just use NIST, okay, NIST 800 framework. The reason for that is that's the best practices, because this way you do not have to go blindly trying to figure out what is it that you need or don't need, what's priority, what's not, because those cybersecurity framework will help you and basically guide you through. If you're compliant with them, you can be pretty sure that you're darn close, have a very good cybersecurity basically status. And also the way of the future is that it might become required for all of us, no matter what industry you're in, to be in compliance with some sort of cybersecurity framework. So it's better to start early rather than later.
Thank you so much. And we do have another question. I think this is directed to both of you. Are there any ways that a business could be protected without cyber insurance? And would you recommend this route as opposed to potentially going with insurance that might not cover you?
So maybe I'll jump in first because mine's probably a relatively easy answer. I would say nowadays is almost, I would say cyber insurance probably the most effective way of as the safety net. The reason for that is because if you rely on law enforcement such as FBI or the banks and all that to protect against your loss, the success rate will be extremely low. Law enforcement, as we stated earlier, I spent my whole career with FBI. Our primary objective is not to help victims recovering money, but rather to make arrests. And recouping financial loss is almost is unheard of, at least to me. So cyber insurance really is the best bet.
So if I could just jump off on something Eric said there about the involvement of law enforcement. There are so many cybersecurity incidents and so many victims that law enforcement cannot possibly devote a lot of resources to every case, particularly the cases that are between people and businesses who both might, at least initially, appear to have some sort of good faith defense. It's been my experience that federal and state prosecutors tend to only get involved either if the incident is particularly large, there's it's a very large number of victims, or if there's some sort of public interest component. So, for example, a hack of a city's computer system or a hospital. So it's hard for you in your individual business to get a lot of attention from law enforcement. So whether it be your insurance or retaining your own investigator, your own lawyer, or just having good security practices up front to prevent things from going wrong, those are things I recommend rather than trusting law enforcement to always get involved. That doesn't mean you shouldn't file a police report. That doesn't mean you shouldn't contact someone if you think there is a serious public interest related to something you suffered. But there's simply so much that goes on with computer misuse that it's impossible to expect to have a law enforcement investigation in every case.